It's never too early to learn that the government is a greedy piglet that suckles on a taxpayer's teat until they have sore, chapped nipples.
Well, Mr. Swanson, I just have to say that you kind of hit the nail on the head there, so to speak. Appreciate that. Welcome back into the Mark Cox Show. Obviously, a lot to get to. We're going to continue our conversation on this Kim.com story that's really breaking within the last 45 minutes or so. I don't know Kim.com. I'm just going to say that again because the liberal trolls will start hitting me on Twitter shortly. Don't know Kim.com. Read the story for yourself. Judge it on its own merits. I don't understand simply how they could ignore at least finding out what he knows before dismissing it out of hand. He's offering them everything he's got. Why would you not want to get to that truth if it exists? That's all I'm saying. Drew, Steve, hang on the line. I'll get to your calls in just a minute. Right now, joined by my friend Carl Bearden with United for Missouri. Carl, how are you?
Hey, I'm doing well, Mark. How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you. You know, I noticed some Facebook posts this morning by United for Missouri talking about the special legislative session and the bill that's been taken up dealing with the utilities and waiving fees and expenses for a new factory that might locate in the Boot Heel. What's your take on this?
Right. So, Governor Greitens has called this special session to give the PSC more power, which is growing the bureaucracy and giving government more power to discount electricity rates, which in the end would cost ratepayers more money in order to start up a steel mill down in southeast Missouri, creating 500 jobs. Now, that's a great thing about the 500 jobs. But do we really need to grow government to do that? And my answer is no, we don't need to do that. There are ways in which we can accomplish this and not have to grow government. And Governor Greitens has not done his homework, and he hasn't done his due diligence in order to create those jobs. And we can do this in a special session, but we don't need to grow government as he's proposed.
So he is, when I talked to him yesterday, I had him on the program, he said that anybody who's opposed to this is, part of the politics as usual crowd.
Well, it's interesting because his proposal, he said he was going to stop politics as usual, and what he has proposed is actually doubling down on politics as usual by doing what he's doing. And, the campaign ended the day after the election. And so it's time for him to stop attacking people who disagrees with him, particularly people who tend to be with him on issues, and do things the right way. And there is a way to do this and to accomplish those 500 jobs without growing government, and what he proposed to do is grow government, and so he needs to explain that.
Is there an issue here with the cost of the special session or the specific wording that allows a special session to be called? Because it's supposed to be for some extraordinary reason, correct?
Well, if you really look at the Constitution, it's an extraordinary session, which means other than the regular session. So people get hung up on extraordinary. So it doesn't really have to be an emergency. It doesn't have to be extra special. So I don't have an issue with him calling it for this purpose, but he has said, here's what you need to do. Now, it's always been the case that the governor can never tell the legislature how to do what he's called them to do, right?
Okay.
So he said, here's what I want you to do. I want you to give the PSC the power to do this. Well, the legislature doesn't have to do that. What they actually need to do is not do that, because we don't need to go government. We don't need to grow this big bureaucracy, which the PSC, the Public Service Commission, is a hugely powerful bureaucracy already. And if you talk to state reps, particularly who, if you haven't talked to a lot of them, they hate term limits, right?
Right.
And when you ask them why they hate term limits, that's because the bureaucracy is too big. And now those who vote for this will be voting to grow the bureaucracy that they say they hate. And so we don't need to give government more power. But what we do need to do it is to balance this out so that we can create these 500 jobs. We can get this steel mill a discounted rate so that Ameren can afford to supply this power without passing the cost on to ratepayers. And there is a balance there that can be struck if the legislature will do that, but it's not the way the governor has proposed to do it. And so that's what the legislature can do and should do. and we can have a new steel mill in the state of Missouri potentially if they'll do it.
Yeah. Hopefully they arrive at an answer on that. I wanted to have you on because I wanted people to hear the other side of this. I know not everyone agrees with the governor and the legislators from that part of the state who want to carve out this exception, it seems like, for one company.
The job creation is great. We should create those jobs. We can create those jobs. We should not do it the way the governor's proposing to.
Yeah. A couple other things while I've got you on here. They said the possibility might exist that there would be other issues brought up during an special session, one of which the governor said he didn't. I guess I asked him if the ethics reform bill might come up again, and he said there may be several issues that are dealt with, was his answer to that. I'm guessing that since your organization, correct me if I'm wrong, is a 501c4 organization,
Correct.
Some of the changes in the ethics rules would specifically affect organizations like yours in terms of having to tell who donors are, and would it have a chilling effect? What's your concern about it?
Yeah, so the term dark money has been thrown around. It's interesting to watch conservative use the left's language, and dark money is a pejorative term. And Governor Greitens hasn't helped in this matter because he is abusing. New Missouri is abusing the 501c4 issue. And so dark money is a pejorative term used by the left and taken up by the right to say that people really don't have the freedom of political speech to donate to 501c4s anonymously or the freedom of association anonymously, even though the Supreme Court has said that people do. And so it's all about issues and do we have those freedoms? And the Supreme Court has said that everybody has that. And it would have a chilling effect. We already know that it does. We can look all across the country. We can give you dozens of examples of what happens when people, either their donations are exposed or their relationship to organizations have been exposed, and what happens to those people. And almost without exception, those are people who support conservative organizations because nobody attacks people on the left, right? So it's always on the right. So and there are more than sufficient examples to say this is what happens. Because what happens is, and Kimberly Strassel from the Wall Street Journal has an excellent book. It's The Intimidation Game, How the Left is Silencing Free Speech. I recommend that to everybody to read because that's exactly what the plan is. And the conservatives really need to wake up and stop playing the left's game to shut them down. And so that's what this dark money thing is all about. And to go to your point, nothing can come up in a special session for which the governor has not called it. The legislature does not have the ability to bring anything up that is not in the governor's call.
Okay. Yeah. So it would be completely on his plate if he decides to wade back into that. I'm guessing he might not unless he thought he had the votes to get it passed.
Right. So again, though, if let's say that he said, called for ethics reform and I want you to ban lobbyist gifts. He cannot restrict that, and so he would not be able to hold it to just that. And so, if he were to call it for that, then the door is wide open.
Okay. Well, Carl, I tell you, I'm out of time, but I appreciate your time. I'd love to have you on again to talk about this Convention of States issue.
You bet, Mark. Anytime.
We'll do it. My friend, thank you very much. People can go to unitedformissouri.org to find out more about the group. Thank you.
You bet.